If you watched the first week of the MCS playoffs tournament, you know that the talk of the town was David T's pressure with his defensive tackle coming through the B gap. If you didn't see it, this is what you missed.
Doesn't matter the pressure. Blocks the tight end in this play.
Get a touchdown.
Now, John Beast, after having time to take a look at it, had great answers for it and was able to defeat David T the next night. But this is a defense that you're going to see plenty of moving forward in Madden 25. So we're going to take a look at this, show you guys how to block it, most importantly, so you're prepared and you know everything about it. Let's go. Now, before we get into the setup, make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the channel, hit that notification bell, and if you don't mind, drop a comment below to help push this video out in the YouTube algorithm. Now, the setup for this defense, as far as we can tell, is going to be one in which we're having the edge rusher in the 3-3 odd defense on the right side. This means that you're going to want to turn your auto flip off. You could also choose to use the shell feature, but I will remind you that if you use the shell feature, sometimes the linebackers will go out of the box depending on what formation your opponent is in on offense, and the effectiveness of this blitz can be impacted if you don't have both players in the right position. Now, this defense relies on one key thing here, and that is going to be that the defensive tackle, basically the nose tackle, is a player that has good acceleration and is honestly not too huge that they're going to bump into your user. And that also is important for your user as well, because you don't want to be using a 6'7", 270-pound linebacker type that's going to get stuck to this pass rusher, because you're going to be using him to run into the offensive line, as you saw in many of those examples that I showed you at the beginning of the video. Now, this defense is not necessarily a new concept, although it is being applied to a new formation. The 3-3 odd, in this case, I'm running out of the Minnesota Vikings defensive playbook. And this is what we would call a universal conceptual blitz concept, meaning that you're just going to choose any play that is a base rush. So you take a look, you've got options for Tampa 2, cover 3 match. You've got options for cover 3 cloud. You could go ahead and set this up at a cover 4 drop. You could choose any play that you want and make coverage adjustments if you want to as well. You just want to make sure you have your front 4 rushing, or if it's a front 3 rushing, in the case of cover 4 drop, you're going to be adding your blitzing linebacker to the equation. So to illustrate this, I am going to come out in the cover 4 drop. And the setup basically appears to be one in which David T was showing blitz, shifting his line to the left, crashing his defensive line to the left, and QB containing. Now, the reason that the QB contain is so important is that with this being an interior gap loop, you're going to have the quarterback oftentimes panicking if there's any middle pressure. You want those contained players to be able to come off their blocks and pursue the quarterback, preventing them from getting to the outside. Now, the player that is going to be getting the pressure in this defense is the left of screen defensive tackle. The user is going to go down into this left B gap area, honestly, a little bit over the left shoulder of the defensive tackle. And when the ball is snapped, you're going to try to run into that shoulder of the defensive tackle. Now, the thing about this that makes this so effective is that oftentimes when this blitz doesn't even work, whether it's picked up or you fail with your user, the edge rusher will come in if your opponent is going 5 out. So I'm going to show you the best 5 out play in the game here in the form of whips. I'm not going to throw the ball, but I just want to show you that we're trying to get this guy in free, but then we're also going to get the pressure off that left side. But at this blitz's best, you're getting the defensive tackle to loop in through that left B gap, and the quarterback is not going to have anywhere to go because they're going to be contained off of both edges. So you see right here, Peppers on the left, and then you've got Yaya Diaby on the right, both players holding their edge. You get this contained pressure with the interior gap loop. And then really at the end of the day, we have 7 in coverage. So what you're going to be able to do here, and what you'll notice David T did a lot, was he switch sticked immediately off of his user. He would actually run down into the guard, and at this point in time, he would switch stick back, whether it be to Sean Taylor in the middle or to this safety or to the flat, depending on the tendency of what his opponents were doing from a route combination perspective. He also would mix up what coverage was behind this, because again, this is something that is so universal that you don't have to sit in a cover 4. You could call this out of a 2-man under, a Tampa 2, a cover 3 cloud, a cover 3 match, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with, you basically can call behind it. So this is something that you could even set up some crazy hybrid coverage as well. So one of the things you could do is, let's say our opponent was throwing the ball quickly to Y, we could man him up. Maybe they're throwing the ball quick to the flat. We can change the outside corner to a hard flat. Maybe they're throwing corner routes over the top with checkdowns in the flat. We could turn this into a cover 3 cloud to that side and then put the safety on the right side into center field. Sometimes David T would put players into the flat like so. And you would just basically see he would be mixing up what he was doing and switch sticking constantly around his defense. So you kind of understand how this meta exists. This is not a new blitz style for what it's worth. When you think to a lot of the popular defenses in this game, this should remind you a lot of the 4-3 even 6-1 defensive tackle A gap that you saw Kiv run against TJ last month in the Zero Chill tournament. It should remind you of Fancy even before that, running that same blitz for his first belt. And a lot of players are utilizing manual rush concepts where they're running into alignment so they can't block who they actually want to, and someone else comes in. Think about Dollar right now. A lot of players are running the Dollar and running down with their user right at the left guard. This is no different. So David T has just taken a concept that is really well known in this community, and he applied it to a defense that not a lot of players are running, and it surprised Dez and got him into that second round. Now, you might have seen that John Beast did a really good job in the second round of handling this. He was motioning a tight end across. In fact, on his first play, he actually bombed this coverage because he knew how to block it. He motioned the tight end over to that side, blocked him, and was able to take advantage of David T's switch stick tendencies that he noticed on film from the previous night. That's great tape work. But what happens when you're playing against this online and you don't know who your opponent is ahead of time? Well, let's go ahead and talk about how we would go ahead and block this. But before I get into the counter setup for you, if this is a video that really entices you or encourages you to get better at the game, and you want to know more, you should check out my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg. Open in 2020, Gridiron is the best place to get better at not only Madden, but also college football as well. You guys can choose one game for $9.95 a month, or bundle both for $14.95, and your membership will include weekly updated vault content. This is content focused directly on the meta. Similar to this YouTube video, we're talking about something that was happening in a pro tournament just last week. This is the type of content you'll find in the vault, what the pro players are doing and how to counter it. Most importantly, you guys get every single offensive and defensive game plan. So if you don't know how to lab your own scheme, or you don't know where to start, we'll have those game plans available for you on the website, and you can add in those vault content tips as you get better at the game and become more well-rounded. We also have a members only Discord, where you guys can converse with over 2,000 members of the Gridiron Game Plans community and attend lab sessions every single Wednesday at no additional cost. Make sure you guys go check it out. Again, $9.95 a month for one game or $14.95 for both. The best deal in the tip space. Now let's talk about how to block this. And we're going to dumb this down to a level that is easily understandable for any player of any skill level. Every single blitz ever in the history of Madden has relied heavily upon the user. The user is the most unpredictable player on the field from an offensive line computer AI logic standpoint. The computer knows what the computer players are doing. The computer has no clue what the user is doing. So when we talk about a play like this, where we are manually running into the line, this left guard really wants to block Dante Fowler. But because we unexpectedly run into him, that ends up screwing up the entire process for the offensive line, and that's why he comes in. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to make it so the offensive line ignores the user. And to do that, we are going to have to block the running back. When you block the running back and then you place the ID the mic logo on the user, this will make it so the running back is now responsible for that player. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the running back on that side just to kind of show you. But what this is going to do is this is going to make it so you see this red line now, they cannot run into the guard and screw this up. So when they try to come through, the game just basically lets them go to the running back, and then they block Dante Fowler. You can't really physically run into the left guard. So right here in this instant replay, you can see I'm attempting to get the guard's shoulder, and the guard is just like, no, I'm not going to block you. You're the running backs guy. And you see right here that Cosme stays on that player that is coming in the David T blitz, or the loop blitz in general. You can apply this same formula to the 4-3 even 6-1. We applied this concept to the mid blitz early in the year, because a lot of times when they're sending 6 and standing in the middle with their user, we would block the running back, put the ID the Mike on that user knowing he wasn't going to blitz. And then when he didn't blitz, the offensive line blocked 5 of the 6 and the running back was left to pick up the 6th player. This is the same logic, but we're applying it into this blitz construct where they're trying to intentionally screw up who is blocking whom. And we're not letting them do that by running into the guard. So in this particular case, they can try all they want to run into number 76. He's not going to let them. The running back is the one that's responsible. And you notice here that number 76 blocks. And now all of a sudden we have a 4-man rush that's been picked up in time to obviously make a read. Now, I didn't make any hot routes in the background, but you guys can apply whatever hot routes you want to whatever the base coverage is behind this blitz style. So you guys are going to definitely need this moving forward, as this is going to be a blitz that I anticipate you're going to see nonstop in the community moving forward. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, check out my website, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, this is Zan. Get the lab and good luck.